Morning, Jeremy from GB Belting. Today I'm going to take you for a walkthrough of our production facility. Follow me. And one of the processes I'd like to explain today is the application of stripes to a range of different conveyor belts. We can apply stripes to synthetic belts and also to monolithic belts. And here's a belt that we're starting in production, a Delflex belt, and we're applying white stripes on 300mm pitch. These stripes can be a variety of colours and different thicknesses, and we can fit them both in a lateral pattern and also in a longitudinal pattern. We're not restricted on length on the longitudinal length of the belt because of the open throat design of our high frequency. So Lee's going to apply the next stripe on the belt, so I'll leave it to you, Lee. As you can see, what Lee's doing here is stretching the PU stripe across, picking up on the pitch mark. We're applying some matte paper so we can match the finish on the belt even after the application of the stripe. The process takes about 2 minutes in total. The high frequency press is now welding the stripe onto the belt. We always do a test at the start and finish of any job. So on this particular application, what we do is do an abrasion test on the stripe to ensure that we've achieved maximum bond between the two materials. We can apply stripes in two different methods: the use of a high frequency press, and a job that's going on in the background, the application of stripes using standard vulcanizing presses. We can fit the stripes to the PVC and polyurethane belts in our synthetic range, and obviously to monolithic belts from the Mafdel range. The process is now complete. And there's the application of another perfectly applied white stripe. Thank you very much, Lee. Carry on. I'd like to show you our extensive range of sidewall materials. As you see, they come in a variety of colours, and we have a range of heights from 20 to 100mm high. These are applied to both our polyurethane and PVC belts and are used to maintain product on the belt. We apply these sidewalls both through hot air fixing and also high frequency. As you can see, we hold an extensive array of stock for use in the food industry and non-food applications. The belt types vary in styles and colours and different types, mainly synthetic belting, but also, if you notice, there's some rolls of the Mafdel positive drive belting, and that's one of the jobs that I'd like to show you that's coming up next. The next part of the process is to take a roll of belting to the slitting machine, where we load up with a forklift truck, and then we cut the pieces to width. On this particular application, Steve is cutting a positive drive belt down to 250 millimeters wide in preparation for the belt to be fitted with flights and ultimately with sidewalls. As you can see, we use a piece of sponge rubber wrapped around the pinch roller to accommodate for the tooth form. This ensures that the belt goes through and is cut true and accurately to size. As you saw in the previous segment, Steve has cut out the belt and we're now applying flights to the belt on the high frequency press. The flight is loaded into the tool, and then as you'll see, Steve is now checking that the indent is correct, so the flight is correctly located onto the belt surface. Once again, this process takes approximately a minute from start to finish. And what we're looking to achieve is a high quality weld of the flight to the belt, ensuring that there is no gaps or cracks that can harbour bacteria. Therefore, when we apply the flight, we produce a 3mm radius foot shape between the flight and the belt surface itself. When Steve has finished fitting the 10 flights to this belt, he will then splice the belt endless, and we'll show Steve also fitting some sidewall to the belt. We quite often like for the fitter to follow the process through from start to finish, rather than have one person concentrating on one job all the time. This, we feel, keeps people more interested and takes ownership of the job from start to finish where possible. When the press rises up, Steve will double check to make sure that the flight is on correctly and will ultimately remove any flashings on the edge of the flight. As you can see, perfectly happy with the quality of the application and is now going to continue applying the flights. One of the next processes that I'd like to show you is our CNC machining facility. This enables us to carry out a range of different actions upon a conveyor belt, primarily the drilling, machining and profiling of hole shapes. As you can see, we've generated a computer program which is showing the position and location of some holes we're going to drill into a Mafdel Del Drive 50 belt. In order to get the cleanest possible result with the drilling, what we do is we tend to cut the belt upside down. I'll start the process and you'll see us producing a 6.35mm diameter hole in a pattern across the belt. The machine has now gathered speed and is going to start drilling the holes in the belt. In order to achieve the cleanest hole, we use a peck drilling system, which means we don't attempt to go straight through the whole thickness of the belt. We're now going to go and see Steve applying the sidewall to the belt that he flighted a little earlier. Steve's mounted the belt onto our longitudinal sealing machine, and we're now going to apply some 40mm hide wall to each edge. We can fit sidewalls up to 100mm high using two different styles of hot air welding. The strange looking contraption that we've got wrapped around the drive roller accommodates for the teeth on the back of the Del Drive 50 belt. Steve is now allowing the leister to come up to temperature, and once it reaches 480 degrees we'll be able to set the machine away. The process has now started, and by careful calibration of the temperature and the speed of application ensures that we apply the flight in the most efficient manner possible. Steve is making some final adjustments, and now the sidewall is being applied. I've now come back to this job that Steve's been completing, as obviously the process takes a reasonable length of time to run. When the sidewall has been applied, Steve will then splice the belt endless and close the sidewalls. Well, thank you very much indeed for visiting GB Belting today. I hope you found your visit very informative. As you saw, we carried out a number of processes to our Mafdal range of belting. However, may I add that we also do an extensive range of other fabrications that you may find of interest to your company. Thank you very much for your attention.